The KangalDog. Every number you've been told is wrong, 743 pounds per square inch. That number has been copy-pasted across the internet so many times that it's become treated as scientific fact. Dog forums, breed comparison videos, ranking articles, they all repeat it. The Kangal has a 743 psi bite force, the strongest bite of any domestic dog on Earth. There is not a single peer-reviewed study that has ever measured the Kangal's bite force. Not one. I want to sit with that for a second because it matters more than people realize. The most famous number associated with what gets called the world's most powerful dog was never actually measured. Dr. Brady Barr conducted the only rigorous bite force study on domestic dogs ever aired. It was for National Geographic, and he used calibrated force transducers on a German Shepherd, 238 pounds per square inch, a Rottweiler, 328 pounds per square inch, and a Pit Bull, 235 pounds per square inch. He never tested a Kangal. Nobody has. The 743 figure almost certainly came from biomechanical modeling, skull geometry, jaw length, estimated muscle mass, which is a legitimate scientific tool, but it's an estimate, a projection, not a measurement, and yet that number gets presented everywhere as cold, verified data. Compare this to a hyena, which actually has been measured at around 1,100 pounds per square inch, or a lion, measured at roughly 650 pounds per square inch. So the internet is telling you a domestic dog outbites a lion by almost 100 pounds per square inch, based on a number nobody actually tested. If that doesn't make you pause before accepting the next stat you read, I don't know what will. The weight claims are almost as bad. Search, how much does a Kangal weigh, and you'll land on results saying 140 to 200 pounds. Some articles push it to 220. The actual Turkish breed standard, the Cynology Federation of Turkey, which is the governing body for this dog in its country of origin, puts males at 50 to 65 kilograms. That's 110 to 143 pounds. Females sit between 88 and 121. The 200-pound Kangal exists online the way a lot of things exist online, because somebody wrote it once and everyone repeated it without checking. Now, there are individual dogs that hit 150, 160 pounds. Working dogs on rough terrain in Anatolia can be on the heavier end. But the 200-pound Kangal, being presented as a typical specimen, that's a dog that exists in the imagination of people who've never been near one. I'd actually argue the real Kangal is more impressive than the mythological one, because the actual animal, 130 pounds, built low and wide, moving faster than its size should allow, does things that would make no sense if it were the lumbering giant the internet describes. A 200-pound dog doesn't cut off a wolf at the flank. It doesn't redirect a predator through bluff charges and positioning. The real Kangal's job has never been to destroy wolves. Its job is to make wolves calculate that an attack isn't worth it. That's completely different. It's a deterrent, not an executioner. The speed numbers are also wrong, or at least unverifiable. 30 to 35 miles per hour gets repeated constantly. Nobody has clocked a Kangal on a measured course with calibrated equipment. The physics aren't impossible. A 130-pound dog with the right build can reach those speeds in short bursts, but the specific figures are just as unverified as the bite force. What's been documented is that Kangals are faster than you'd expect for a dog of their mass. How much faster? We actually don't know. The lifespan claim is the one that genuinely bothers me. 12 to 15 years shows up on site after site for a giant breed dog. Giant breeds, and anything consistently above 100 pounds qualifies, age faster than smaller dogs, and their median lifespans reflect that. Great Danes average 6 to 8 years. St. Bernards average 8 to 10. Tibetan Mastiffs, which share the LivestockGuardian role and similar size, average 10 to 12. The biological reality of giant breed dogs doesn't suddenly reverse itself for the Kangal. Turkish working dogs typically live 9 to 12 years. Some reach 13. 15 is exceptional, not expected. The inflated lifespan number is arguably the most harmful of the myths because it affects real decisions people make about a real animal. Here's what's actually documented, because there's a version of this dog that's real and it's worth understanding. The Kangal is from the Sivas region of central Turkey. Not Turkey generally, the Kangal district specifically. which is why the breed's full name in Turkish documentation is the Kangal Çoban Köpeği, or Kangal Shepherd Dog. The Turkish government has treated the breed as something close to a national asset. For decades, Turkey restricted exports. There are documented cases of Anatolian Shepherds being sold internationally and mislabeled as Kangals, which is a separate issue entirely and one that created enormous confusion in Western breeding communities throughout the 90s and early 2000s. The AKC recognizes the Anatolian Shepherd as a breed but does not separately recognize the Kangal. Turkish breeders and the Turkish government have been publicly unhappy about this for years. The number of purebred Kangals outside Turkey is genuinely small, estimates in the low thousands for North America and Europe. Inside Turkey, population estimates vary between 15,000 and 25,000 working dogs, so it's not endangered. But the dog that's available internationally is often not what people think it is. What's documented about their behavior is also different from what gets repeated. Kangals are not aggressive dogs in any traditional sense. They're not wired the way a protection breed is wired. They don't have the reactive, high-arousal temperament of a German Shepherd or a Malinois. They're slow to react, deliberate, and territorial in a way that reads as calm until it doesn't. A Kangal that's correctly raised with a flock doesn't patrol aggressively. It sleeps near the animals during the day and positions itself at the perimeter at night. Most predator deterrence happens through scent marking, visible presence, and the bark, which is notably loud and deep for a domestic dog. The bark is worth talking about because it's one of the few things that's genuinely hard to exaggerate. Experienced owners consistently describe it as something that physically registers in the chest at close range. Working Kangals in Turkey have been observed barking to coordinate across long distances, which suggests the vocalization serves a communication function, not just an alarm function. That's not magic. Plenty of working dogs vocalize to coordinate. Communities using Kangals and similar breeds reported 80 to 90% reductions in predation events compared to unguarded flocks. That's a real number from a real study. It's not about bite force, it's about presence and learned predator behavior. Wolves avoid areas with active guardian dogs not because the dogs killed them, but because an encounter with a guardian dog is metabolically expensive and unpredictable. Wolves are energy optimizers. They go where the resistance is lowest. So when you reduce the Kangal to a bite force number, a made-up bite force number, you're stripping out the actual reason this dog is genuinely worth understanding. The real case for the Kangal isn't that it hits 743 pounds per square inch. It's that a livestock community in Namibia or Kazakhstan, after introducing Kangals, stops losing animals to cheetahs or wolves at a rate no fence or trap ever achieved. That program exists. Cheetah Conservation Fund has been running it since the 90s. The number that matters isn't 743, it's 80 to 90%, verified, published, and almost nobody talks about it.